Hi, I'm Pat Brennan from Tote Ireland. Welcome to the brand new Tote Show. I'm joined this week by Thom Malone, who most of you know from racecourses all over the country. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks
Great
for
to be here.
Great, and thanks for joining us here today. So we're going to have a look here on a weekly basis. We're going to review the weekend's racing previously gone. We're going to have a look at the domestic and UK action, particularly with Irish horses, and we're going to have a look at some of the anti-post races that are upcoming. So straight into Tom, we were both at the Curragh last weekend.
Yeah.
What did you make of the Derby and Capri?
I thought Capri gave a very strong staying performance, as kind of you would have expected beforehand. Obviously, they said after the race didn't particularly handle Epsom that well and would be better for the run at the Curragh. Apparently, Shane Heffernan was very keen to ride, and there was quite a lot of market support as well. I think about 12 to 1 was available earlier on the week, and he was returned at sixes. So it's no shock. Obviously, the unfortunate part is Wings of Eagles.
Yeah.
And what happened to him. And, Cracksman backs up the form. Cracksman probably ran a similar enough race to what he did at Epsom, slightly better performance. And it looked a strong enough Derby.
The handicapper thought so. We put Capri up £8 to I think 119 or 120, which is only £3 shy of Churchill. I probably wouldn't have went quite that far, given that he was third and fourth in a pair of Group 3s prior to that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a little strong, but I mean, look at Valtgeest. He sort of ran his race as well. He would add another dimension to that, it being strong form. So yeah, I think it was a strong Derby. Is Capri an absolutely exceptional winner? Probably not, but he's a very good winner, and he looks like he's still improving. And as I mentioned, with the market support prior to the race, it seems it certainly wasn't a shock to Ballydoyle.
Speaking of exceptional, probably exceptional riding from Shane Heffernan, we've seen it time and time again.
Absolutely, his third to buy duty free Irish Derby keeps it remarkably simple so often. He's up there in the box seat throughout. Maybe Pat Smullen got pushed a little wide. I think it was mentioned in The Guardian that the Ballydoyle horses were about 4 or 5 wide off the turn, and Smullen had to come outside them and Valtgeest to get his run going. And now the Cracksman is potentially going for a Great Voltage or potentially going for a St. Ledger. Perhaps he should have been ridden slightly handier, but you can't really knock Capri because he was so prominent throughout. Sitting up there a few lengths off the pacemakers and quite prominent throughout third or fourth.
He was there to be shot at.
And he was, and he was there. If they were good enough to go by him, they could have gone by him, but he looked like he genuinely found plenty more as well. So he's a really tough sort, really likeable Galileo as befits the family. But a good Derby winner, no doubt, and intriguing to see what happens next with him. Because I spoke to Aidan O'Brien after the race and said to him, the following day when the injury to Wings of Eagles had become clear, spoke to him and he said, yes, well, probably Capri now will fall into those races where previously they probably had pencil in the heads for Wings of Eagles. So it looks likely that his season will...
to have.
Yeah, really nice substitute to have, and of course looks like a season that'll build towards the arc. Obviously depends if Minding recovers or not, or how prominent he'll be in that race, but fascinating. But a good Derby winner, no doubt. Intriguing to see how he gets on against some older horses later on in the season.
True, I agree. So, other performances from the weekend, there's a couple that caught your eye there?
Yeah, Beckford's an obvious one, I suppose, and what a wonderful story as well. Gordon Elliott and Mouse Ryan bringing lads together, get involved in a syndicate, make your money and get out is the lesson of it.
He was cheap enough relative towards some of the other horses. He was doing 40,000 to pay for sales.
They put a lot of money into the club to start it up, and a great story. And as is the case, a big buyer came in and they sold up, which is a good idea.
We were previewing the race on Saturday, yourself and myself, and I think I said at the time I reckoned it was probably the strongest 2-year-old race anywhere in Europe that had been run this season. I stick by that. I thought the form was rock solid. Absolutely
rock solid, and all of the maidens that they had run in looked very, very solid. Jim Bulger's horse, Verbal Dexterity, and the figures he posted in winning that maiden, and winners are continuing to come out of that race, and he placed as well. Johnny Murtagh's horse ran well. Fozzie Stack's horse had very strong form too coming into the race.
Murillo in the Coventry.
Absolutely. So the form looked strong, and Beckford beat them out of the gate. I mean, there's no kind of getting away from the dominance of his performance.
Looks like hopefully we'll see him back at the Curragh in in 3 or 4 weeks' time for the Phoenix Stakes.
Yeah, and that will only add to that race.
Yeah.
You would think. Look, it's always a cracking race. It's shown us such amazing winners in the past. You know, Caravaggio last year, Air Force Blue a couple of years before that. It's the first 2-year-old Group 1 of the season that got into the Brian Champion Stakes. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah. Anything else to catch your eye from?
Yeah, there's a few sort of less obvious ones. On Friday night, one Shemi Hefner rode called Sizzling in the maiden was very eye-catching, stayed on for third. A winner that I think is pays to follow would be Clongos. I think he followed up his Ulster Derby victory quite straightforwardly. A really, really tough
He was
start.
up 7 or 8 pounds for that
Yeah,
victory.
and carried it very straightforwardly. Wouldn't be surprised if he steps up and trip as well. You know, there were a couple of soundings earlier on in the year that he might be a Queen's Vase horse, you know, because of the change in trip. So, you know, he's won a couple of, after winning those 2 handicaps, I wouldn't be surprised to see him step up into good company. He's definitely one. Another one for handicap company next time, it's Silvercoat. Won at 5, won his maiden over 5, stepped up to 7 furlongs in his handicap debut on Sunday.
You were quite sweet on him on Sunday morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And having spoken to the owner and Joe Murphy after the race, I certainly wouldn't be any less sweet in his chances in the future either. Silvercoat, so definitely want to follow. Probably 6 furlongs next time out. So really, really versatile, but classy animal who they've been patient with. Another as well, True Valour. You know, dropped in class. And it was very much under the radar before his run because he ran in the Jersey and actually was quite tenderly handled in the Jersey and then dropped down in class on Saturday earlier on the card. I think he's back from about 10s into 6 to 1. So yeah, True Valour is definitely another one. John Edwards said he might not be top class, but there's certainly a Group 2 or Group 3 for him towards the rest of the season.
Yeah, great stuff. And one that really stood out for me as well, of course, was Clemmy, who I'm really looking forward to stepping up to a mile next year. Another daughter of Galileo, looks absolutely super impressive. Yeah,
full sister to Churchill and quite similar looks wise as well.
Yeah.
You know, Churchill was such a hardy 2-year-old. She looks like she could be another very hardy 2-year-old as well. One that'll be, as you saw, I mean, she came out and put in that performance on the back of, you know, what was only 8 or 9 days after Royal Ascot. So, and she's going in there a maiden, but her maiden was in 2000 Guineas. On 2000 Guineas we had a really eye-catching run as well, similar to Australia a few years ago, and nothing really seemed to go right during the maiden. Eventually just beaten on the line. But I mean, I'm sure lots of people had her down the notebooks anyway, just on pedigree. But that was a very eye-catching performance. Looks a hardy filly, just, you know, looks like she'll be able to take plenty of racing, and wouldn't be surprised to see her continue to step up in class.
Another peeping fawn maybe for Aidan O'Brien. So we'll have a look at this weekend's action now. We're racing at Naas, Bellewstown and Limerick. So anything that sticks out for the weekend?
Well, there's just one at Naas. She's a sprinting filly trained by Eddie Lynham. Miss Power, of course, in those famous colours carried by the likes of Soul Power and Slave Power over the years. I just love this filly. She won the first day in Naas when obviously it was completely unexpected. She has everything you'd want in a sprinter. She's got attitude, she is aggressive, she's obviously difficult as, but clearly talented. I think they had 2 shocks, first of all, running this horse. The first day they were kind of shocked she won. She learned so much on the job because they put her in a bit of traffic, and then she just found and ran right out to the line. Obviously completely undercooked that day. I think they were a little disappointed the following day. She finished second, but made no mistake up north last week. She actually had an entry in the Tote Rockingham at the weekend as well, and I was dying to tip her up at the weekend. But anyway, they've obviously taken a gently approach with her. She ran with top weight last week. She's going to run with 10 stone top weight again this week. No fears for her, so she'd be probably my best bet in the card at Naas.
Okay, very good. Saturday. And at Bellewstown, actually, I like Joseph O'Brien's Tigris River and the first at Bellewstown. I was actually hoping they'd put him away until the Galway Hurdle because I'm quite sweet on the chance of the Galway Hurdle. But currently on a mark of about 138, I'd say they're probably worried that won't quite be big enough to get him into the Galway Hurdle. Probably hoping to pick up a penalty. I think he's like the first at Bellewstown tomorrow. And the King of Briga on Sunday at Limerick in the Tote.com Galway Plate trial. Has only been with Henry de Bromhead for about a year and a half. Came right back to form last time out at Downpatrick. Absolutely hosed up. Back over fences on Sunday off a mark of about 130. I think he'll go very, very well.
Yeah, Joseph's in the bumper looks like a really good chance there at Bendistown tomorrow as well. Is that the Terror Bridge in the bumper looks like a really solid chance. Probably favourites chance. But,
favourites chance.
Some good form, really, really decent form in the books. I wouldn't be surprised to see Joseph. Hopefully he'll have a double if we're right.
I'm makings of a good couple of multiple bets there for the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to have a look at some of the upcoming big races both in Ireland and the UK. We're going to start with the Irish Oaks, which is on next Saturday at the Curragh. Enable currently leads the market here at around 4 to 11.
Yeah, 3's on across many boards. And to be perfectly honest, you couldn't really disagree with that. You know, she's taken on Luringly twice and beaten her quite well. This could be an interesting tactical race if Aidan throws a good few at it and try and take Alluringly or try and take Enabled off her feet early. Alluringly looks like a really good, solid galloping sort who will again appreciate the track, not dissimilar perhaps to Capri. Will appreciate the trip more at the Curragh, the track more at the Curragh than perhaps even if she ran at Chester and Epsom. It's very difficult to look past the favourite. I'm sure you're going to give us a huge price one.
Well, I think one that's overpriced, you know me, and I love the long price ones, Tom. A Zera for Dermot Weld, currently at around 33 to 1. And if you look back at her form, she beat Hydrangea in a Galway Maiden in a race that the stable always targets with their best 2-year-old fillies.
And she ran very well on Irish Champions Weekend last year as well.
She did. She won the Weld Park Stakes, Group 3 at the Curragh. She returned this year. She was second or third, second in the King George at Leopardstown. Now she's entered in a Group 2 on the Sunday of the Curragh, so I'm hoping to take up the engagement in the Irish Oaks. Dermot Weld stable, we said last week, had been quite quiet. Did seem to be turning a bit of a corner last weekend. I think that 33 to 1, if she ends up there next weekend, if she runs, a fraction of that price.
Yeah, no doubt. And the thing is, with Dermot Weld, she's only going to run if she has a chance.
Yes.
They're not just going to pick up an entry for the sake of, just for the sake of having a runner. They don't operate like that. They're only going to have a runner in an Oaks. It's no fun being down the other end of the parade.
For what it's worth, I completely agree with Tom. Alluringly looks rock solid each way. Enable would be incredibly hard to beat, but if you're looking for one at a price, I think a Zera will go well. I just think that the way the race could pan out, if you're looking for how to possibly get Enabled beaten, you have to turn it into a massive test of stamina, and for that reason, I think there's 8 to 1 in places. I think that's a wonderful each way, but to potentially turn her over. Like I say, they just have to take her off her feet early, and Ballydoyle Battalion could do that. Most likely to happen. So finally we have a look at the July Cup, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. Caravaggio, current favourite for that at around even money, 5 to 4. Again, can you see him being beaten?
Well, they said after Ascot that there was still more to come. Look, Caravaggio is genuinely one of my favourite horses in training. He's an absolute monster, and I don't know if he's an attractive betting proposition at even money in a July Cup.
There's probably two camps there as to whether he is or he isn't.
Yeah, I at the moment I think it's a kind of a watching brief. The Tin Man was so impressive in Ascot that I wouldn't be put off the Tin Man, to be perfectly honest, because even though the winning distance was small, he was probably valued for a lot more than he actually won, and the way he came through traffic later on was impressive. I mean, how many chances could you possibly give Lamato at this stage? What excuse will they provide for him this time? That was his race to win in Ascot for me, and as Ryan Moore said in the Stewards' Inquiry, I was only ever going to get third. So that's, I mean, he's held on that line of form, and like I say, I think the Tin Man, the Tin Man's the alternative selection, I think.
I wouldn't disagree with the Tin Man. I actually like Tasleet. I thought the bump that he got at the end of the race in the Diamond Jubilee. He's never been out at the first two when he's ran at sprint distances, apart from on debut at York when he ran very green and jumped the path. I think at around 12 to 1. He's absolutely rock solid. Yeah. So he would. And these sprinters as well, once they get into a rhythm like that, they tend to perform. I just looking forward to seeing it, to be perfectly honest, to see how a proper Ballydoyle 3-year-old sprinter stacks up against these established ones like the Tin Man, Tasleet and even Lamato with his bucket full of excuses. Brilliant, fascinating analysis there. Thanks so much, Tom, for joining us this week. It's been a great show to kick off things. So Thanks for watching. The best of luck with all of your bets at the weekend. And we're putting up 2 tickets to next week's Oaks at the Curragh for the best comment or the best question that comes in from today's show. So once again, thank you very much.